All right, hello everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of a Ballin podcast. Today we got a lot to talk about. We got coach hirings, coach firings, more specifically Sean McDermott getting fired by the Bills, and the return of Jesse Minter to Baltimore. Let's go, baby. We got the national championship game to recap, and oh boy, it was a close one. And we have conference championship week. We have the AFC to talk about, and we have the NFC to talk about. And I am super excited to talk about the AFC because we are going to beat the absolute shit out of Denver. So, yeah, take it away, Future Dante. All right, first we're going to talk about the national championship game between Miami and Indiana. Now, this was probably going to be, going into this game, Indiana's hardest matchup because if you don't know, Miami has 5 offensive linemen, specifically NFL offensive linemen, on their team, right? Matthew McCoy, Francis Mauigoa, James Brockemeyer, Inez Cooper, Markel Bell. 3 of those guys are going in the top 50, right? And as much as you want to shit on Carson Beck for not playing the best, this was probably the best team Indiana faced all postseason. Hats off to Indiana because what they've done in the past, 2 years is insane. And this is not the end of it. Not even close. I fully expect them to be back in the playoff next year. Hell, I expect them to have a bye next year. Because given this coaching staff is consistently running coaching laps around everyone else in college football, they're basically smarter than everybody else in terms of game planning. When they get more talent and when they get more athletic guys on the offensive line and they're able to do a lot more stuff, every single coach in college football is fucked unless they do NFL shit. Because it doesn't matter if Indiana jump sets 80% of the time and Braden Smith can't move laterally, right? It doesn't matter if you have 4 undersized defensive linemen as long as they're quick and can just be disciplined, right? You can run cover 3 all fucking day and just have one of the most intellectual corners in college football, right? And so, my props out to Indiana. They fully deserve this. I don't know how it's going to go next year, considering the fact that Hoover has less mobility than Mendoza. I would not be surprised if they're back here next year. Because I think given the additions they've made in this portal season in particular, from defensive line to wide receiver, running back, everything else, this team is primed up to go on another run, right? And obviously there's other teams that are going to be big, right? Oregon is going to want Indiana on their ass again after what happened, right? But Indiana just looks primed to dominate until Cignetti retires. So if you're in Bloomington right now, congratulations. You're about to run the sport for the next 6 years, or probably for the next 30 because one of the assistant coaches is probably going to take over. But enjoy this. Like, flat out enjoy this. This is one of the rarest things you will ever see in your life. And we may never see it in our lifetimes again. So, hats off to Indiana.
This turnaround that Indiana has had is incredible. Just going from one of the losingest programs in college football history to now national champions in just a few years. Curt Cignetti might be my pick for the best coach in college football. He's just such a great guy. The turnaround, his recruiting, everything just went so well for him. Fernando Mendoza's great. He's absolutely going number 1 overall after this. And he's such a likable guy too. Within an hour of winning it all, he put national champion MVP in his LinkedIn profile. So even if he busts, which for the record, I don't think he will still be set for any employment opportunities because his LinkedIn is up to date with everything, including the Heisman and national championship MVP. And also, Curt Cignetti is finally happy. We saw him crack a smile in 4K on television after the national championship. That man never smiles. He did this weekend. We finally got that man happy.
Tyrese Halliburton, Caitlin Clark, Daniel Jones, whatever the hell happened to Joseph Newgarden last year in the Indy 500. All that for this. 16-0. First team to go 16-0 since 1894 Yale. He didn't even know what a forward pass was back then. So the future is bright. The present is obviously extremely bright. But the future for this team is bright. Cignetti is the bench coach. I don't think that's up for debate. You don't just do this and say, oh yeah, no, he's top 3. No, he's 1. He's top 1. There's no one better than him as of this moment. And I'm excited to see what they do recruiting wise, because I do know this team is amazing in the portal. They got guys like Josh Hoover, Nick Marsh, who I'm especially excited to see what he can do with a real quarterback and a real offense. You got Turbo Richard. You got a whole bunch of other guys coming. And then high school wise, you're gonna see 5 stars coming into this team, and 5 stars. Cignetti's coaching is a recipe for success. So I'm excited to see what this team can do in the future. And as of right now, congratulations, Indiana. What a run.
Next thing on docket, we got some coach hirings and coach firings to talk about before we shit on whoever the fuck lost in the divisional round, which we'll talk about in a bit. So, first off, we got Jesse Minter, right? We will go more detail into these hirings and firings as time goes on. But with Jesse Minter, this was probably the most obvious coaching decision in the whole carousel. I don't know if Lamar has a good relationship with him, which I'm assuming he does considering the hiring, but thank fucking God they finally got a real coach. Thank fucking God. So, to keep it really short, I do hope for Lamar's sake that they do get a good offensive coordinator. I don't know who that is going to be. It might be Davis Webb. It might be Cliff Kingsbury. Who the fuck knows? But congratulations to the Ravens for probably getting their next coach for the next 20 years. Because Jesse Minter is a really good defensive coordinator, and he's probably going to win you a fuck ton of football games. So, congratulations to you guys.
All right. I do want to say, first to push back on you a little bit, you said thankfully they finally got a real coach. I would argue Harbaugh is a real coach. And he won Coach of the Year in 2019. He has led this Baltimore team to a great ton of success. He only has one Super Bowl in that span, and it was early on, but he was still a very, very good football coach and a very sought after one. And he just went to the Giants, of course, which I'm sure we'll talk about that shortly. But
we talked about that last week.
No, we talked about that last week. Never mind. My bad. But he's an excellent football coach, and I think that did weigh into the decision by the Ravens to hire Signetti. Or not Signetti.
Minter? They wish.
I'm off my knocker tonight, y'all.
They wish they could get
to hire Jesse Minter. I think Harbaugh's success went into the decision to hire Jesse Minter because he is part of the Harbaugh coaching tree. He was the Ravens DB coach from 2017 to 2020. In 2019, the year that Harbaugh won Coach of the Year, Signetti also not. What is wrong with me?
Hey man, Signetti's such a good
Jesse.
coach.
Okay, from now on, if I say Curtis Signetti, I mean Jesse Minter. Just in 2019, when Harbaugh won Coach of the Year, Jesse Minter was the DB coach. His defensive backs had 5 defensive touchdowns, which the Ravens as a whole had 6. So they had 5 of the 6 defensive touchdowns that the Ravens had in 2019 in a very dominant secondary. He's a very good coach, I think, especially with the young guys we're bringing in on the secondary, like Malachi Starks and Nate Wiggins, who still need development. We got TJ Tampa working in there as a depth piece, and then Marlon Humphreys aging out. I mean, not really much development there, but he had an excellent season 2 years ago. This past season wasn't really what you want to see out of him. Hopefully we can see him back into Marlon Humphrey shape and not worrying about 50 States, 50 Glizzies as he was this year. I still don't know what that debate was about, man. But yeah, I think it's an excellent hire. I like the defensive side of the ball. I like having him as a head coach. I think it's time we have a defensive head coach because I think it's time we return to that defensive dominance that the Ravens are usually known for. And we'll wait to see how everything else pans out for our coordinators and everything else. And we're going to have to work in some new position coaches too, I'm sure. We're going to see how all that shapes out. We don't know what Chuck Pagano's going to do yet, if he's going to stay with the Ravens or go somewhere else or retire. We don't know anything yet. So we'll cover this in a lot more detail once all that is finalized.
Yeah, so this is a great hire as well. Minter being a younger guy, this team starting to phase out some of their older players, and this becoming a younger team, you're going to need a high energy, younger coach. And I think he fits that. It's the historical defensive tone head coach. And if Fancy's happy, I'm happy because Baltimore needs happiness right now. Other than that, I think it's a good hire. I don't really have a lot to say. I don't know a whole lot about Minter other than that he's a damn good football coach. And that's all that matters.
Next, we have Sean McDermott being fired by the Buffalo Bills. Now, how do I say this kindly? The firing, I think, I think a wholesale purge of the Bills had to happen. Not being fired isn't great, right? He's not had in the last good 4 drafts, right? But I don't have any confidence in this team moving forward because of what Bean and Pagulo have come out with against Sean McDermott, right? And this is not without criticizing McDermott, right? They just haven't been able to get over the hump with him, right? And I don't think Dable is the answer. I sure shit don't think that's the answer. Unless you're going to get someone who's really fucking good, it just felt like one of those situations where someone just had to go because tension had been building up in the building, probably, and McDermott ended up being gone. Which, if I were the Bills owner, I would get rid of both Bean and McDermott because of what happened this week. Not this week, in the divisional round, but I don't know where you go from here if you're the Bills, unless you somehow draft your ass off for the next 2 years and you're back in the AFC Championship game, right? So if I have one request for Bills ownership and Bills management, please get some fucking talent around Josh Allen. Please do not make Khalil Shakir and Brandon Cooks your top 2 receivers, especially a 35-year-old Brandon Cooks, however fucking old he is. Just be a fucking normal football team, please. A really good fucking football team. Please make a Super Bowl. Please give Josh Allen a ring. Please. Like, I get he didn't play well, but your defense gave up 30 points to the fucking Broncos. The Broncos, right? And Bo Nix is good, and we are going to talk about how the Broncos are absolutely fucking cooked for the AFC Championship game. But you gave up 30 points to them. A team that had been inconsistent all year long. So I definitely think changes needed to be made. I just don't agree with only the head coach going. I think the GM should have gone as well, and it should have been a full reset.
Yeah, I also don't agree with who got fired. If they had to do this and it was only one guy going, I'd much rather it be Bean than McDermott, because a lot of the times this season, McDermott coached his ass off with what he was given. And then obviously it didn't work, and this was probably always going to happen. Someone was going to have to go if it was going to be one or the other. I think most people would agree Bean should have been the one to go. Derman was the one to go. And damn, I'm repeating myself. Let me reset.
Of course, we'll be saying Signetti like 4,000 times.
Yeah.
So that better stay in the podcast, by the way.
Yeah, I won't edit, don't worry.
This for me is the wrong choice. Getting rid of McDermott, it felt like it was inevitable that both of them were going to go, but on not the way that they did it. If they were going to fire anyone, it should have been both of them. If it was only going to be one, it should have been Bean. From here, I don't know where they're going to go, because I know Brandon Dable has been a guy I've heard. Preferably, I'd rather just have him at an OC. He'd be a really fun OC. I think Bills are going to wait until after the Super Bowl, because you'll have guys like Kubiak, you'll have guys like Vance Joseph, and I do know that obviously Tomlin's still there, but I highly doubt he goes into a coaching role this next season. But Kubiak and Joseph, I think, are the 2 best guys who you want to get, given that Robert Saleh's gone, Stefanski's gone, Harbaugh is gone. I don't know where the Bills are going to go from here, especially if the drafting doesn't get any better, because it feels to me we're going to see the same mistakes. Bad drafting, not necessarily bad drafting in terms of the players that they're getting, it's bad drafting in terms of what positions they're getting. Because you can go look at these classes and say, hey, yeah, that's a good player, but they're not needle movers, especially not at the positions that you need. Keon Coleman, he looked promising his rookie year, and then this year he's looked just fucking. Shakir, he was a great pick. He's a great pick. He's not a wide receiver one. He shouldn't be your number one wide receiver. Kincaid has been healthy. When he's healthy, he's great. Issue is, it's when he's healthy. That's the problem. We have to say when he's healthy, not, oh yeah, he's great. No, it's when he's healthy, he's great, but he's not always healthy. They still have the issue of run defense, which they have not fixed somehow in the past, decade. Their secondary's been
Past few years, I would say.
Middle of the pack for like 5 years now. If this keeps on going on, Bean's going to be gone too, and you'll have missed your chance to do a full reset in one off season, and then you won't have a power struggle, all that. So for me, it's confusing, the Bills. if you're going to fire one guy, fire both guys. Do full reset in terms of front off, in terms of those two. The way they're doing it, I feel like they're setting themselves up to screw themselves in the future, and they're confusing. I don't know. I don't really know what to say about them.
Yeah, I don't think this is the right decision either. You have Mike Tomlin, who has lost the last 7 playoff games he's appeared in, and then you have Kurt Signetti, who's once. Oh my god. I'm done. Been a great episode, yo. I'm out.
So we know who the Bills should hire now. Kurt Signetti.
Yep, Kurt Signetti.
Buffalo Bill. Kurt Signetti, you're a Buffalo Bill.
I can't do this, bro. Okay. Then
you know exactly who he was rooting for in the Natty.
Yeah.
You know exactly who
Curly.
he was rooting for.
Fucking Curly.
I mean, yeah, I don't like Miami. They stole Duke's quarterback and wide receiver 1. Probably. But anyways, you have Mike Tomlin, who has lost his 7 straight playoff appearances he's made. And then you have Sean McDermott, who has won 7 straight playoff games. Yeah. Sean McDermott has won 7 straight playoff games. They haven't gotten over the hump, but they've also been competitive every single year. And you can make that argument with the Ravens too, and them firing Harbaugh. And I think you can draw comparisons to that. But I don't think that McDermott was as bad as Harbaugh. I don't think there were problems beyond with Harbaugh, there were problems beyond just playoff losses. I feel like with McDermott, the real problem was just the playoff losses. So I don't see what the problems are here. It just feels like a cop-out firing to me. And this most recent playoff loss was not on McDermott at all. There was a few question play calls, I guess, but Josh Allen had 4 turnovers. You can't pin that on the coaching. I don't agree with this firing. I don't know, who are you going to get that's better than McDermott right now? I don't.
Who's going to be available? That's the issue.
Clint Kubiak, maybe? I guess Clint Kubiak, but I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know what you're going to do. I think Brandon Beane should have been gone. I think, I'm just like what y'all are saying. I don't agree with this firing. I think it's a bad move by Buffalo. I think they just closed their window on their own by making that move. I don't think their next coach is going to take them to a playoff win. I'll say that now. I don't think they're winning a playoff game next year for the first time in 7 years.
If they hire any of the Jaguars coordinators or get the Rams passing game coordinator, I forget to say his name, I think they probably have a chance. All right, next hire we got. Robert Saleh is a Tennessee Titan, and the only reason why he took this job was to kick Liam Cohen's ass twice a year. That's the only reason why he took this job whatsoever. He hates that fucking man. I don't know if that's the best situation for him, but fuck it. If he wants to beat the shit out of Liam Cohen 2 times a year, he now has his wish.
This is significantly better than what the Jets had. He has his quarterback, and good one too, in Cam Ward. You have pieces on the defense. Obviously, some of them are aging, and the most obvious piece is Jeffrey Simmons. So for me, it's all dependent on what do they want to do at 4, at least for this upcoming season. The coaching job he did for San Francisco, absurd. Obviously, they weren't the greatest. They weren't even good. They were meh at times. But if you go look at who was on that defense by the end of the season, you'll be, I think, meh is the best possible outcome that they got.
The fact that they held Seattle to 13 points in Week 18 is a fucking miracle.
Yes. So Saleh, I do think Titans fans are going to be really happy about Saleh and what he's going to be able to do and what he's going to be able to bring. And Cam Ward's going to be happy that he doesn't have to deal with Matt Nagy. Why he was even in the coaching job search, I don't know. But thank goodness you ended up with Saleh.
I will say, I like this hire. Robert Saleh was on my shortlist for Ravens head coach. As a refresher, that shortlist was Jesse Minter, Clint Kubiak, Robert Saleh, Mike McCarthy, and then Jeff Hackley in that order. So he was the guy I wanted third most as the Ravens head coach. And I think he's an excellent coach. I think he was stuck in a sticky situation with the Jets, and I don't think they were ever destined to succeed under him. Just the way that organization was run, the way they saw all run, the talent they had, it's just there wasn't much there to really succeed with. And I don't think Robert Saleh did very well on the Jets, but I don't think anyone would have done well coaching the Jets at that time. So I think this is a step in the right direction for the Titans. I don't think it'll be a crazy one-year turnaround like we saw under Liam Cohen, or a multi-year turnaround that led to a Super Bowl potentially under Mike Vrabel, who they should have kept, by the way. You would have never been in this situation if you just kept Mike Vrabel, but
I will say the Titans front office gives people a lot of concern. That's what I will say about the Titans job.
But I think it's going to make the Titans a competitive team in a few years. I think this will be a hire that works out. I don't know if he's going to bring them to the Super Bowl. But I think at this point, Titans fans are just looking for a playoff appearance, and I do think he'll bring them that.
Not even a playoff appearance, just like fucking competence. That's what they're looking for right now.
Yeah, that's what I think. Give it 2 or 3 years, the Titans will be in the playoffs.
I do think he's
or their front office will find a way to fuck it up and fire him after 1 year, because that's just tends to be on the course. Next one, we have another head coach and hire. Jeff Hafley is the Miami Dolphins coach, and the GM looks like his twin for some reason, which I'll throw the fucking photo up now. So I will say this, Jeff Hafley is a good coach. I will say that. Even though the Packers were injured to hell and back, they still were able to hold the Bears to 9 points before the collapse in the fourth quarter in week, I think, 17, if I remember correctly. He is a good defensive coach despite the fact of those blown leads. He is a good coach. I do think he is a good defensive coach. I think he did prove it this year. And I think he proved it last year because Xavier McKinney was carrying the absolute fuck out of his Packers defense. So I'm happy he's getting the shot to be a head coach again after Boston College, where he left because he got sick and tired of that. And I hope he does well. I don't know if Miami is going to go anywhere, but if he can build something up, maybe he might be able to do something in a division with Buffalo and New England. So, not a bad hire by the Dolphins. I don't think it's the worst candidate they could have gotten. Pretty good coach. I don't know where he's going to take this team, but I do think if he can draft the right talent, he can go places. So, that's what I'll say about that.
Yeah, I do think this is a different flavor comparative to McDaniels. Obviously, defensive-minded guy. Packers defense has looked great these past few years. I do think Miami fans will be happy about it. And I don't really have much else to say. It's a good hire. I do think the defense is going to look good. Obviously, it's not going to be some crazy year one turnaround, but it will be better than what we saw these past few years. Yeah, as long as he can put together a good crew around him, Miami could end up being back to a playoff team.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to say on this hire either, but I do think he will help the defense immensely. Miami finished 22nd in total yards allowed and 27th in rushing yards allowed. They were 18th in opponent passing yards per game this year and improved to 8th in rushing defense. So they improved halfway through the year, and I think they will continue to show that later half of the year Miami defense under Jeff Hafley, and I think he may even bring them further. We might even be talking about Miami as a top 10 defense next year, potentially. I don't think much further than that, but I do think they might become a halfway solid defensive unit, depending on this free agency and this draft and what we see out of that. I'm a little concerned about how he's going to deal with Miami's offense. Not really concerned isn't the right word. I'm intrigued as to how he's going to deal with Miami's offense, because you got to figure out what to do with Tyreek Hill, whether you're going to keep him or trade him or what. You're going to have to figure out what to do with Tua, and you have the same 3 options there. Start him, trade him, cut him. Probably can't cut him, actually, because of the cap hit, but so 2 options there. So there's a lot of questions on Miami's offense. You also probably need a tight end there, because Darren Waller's not a long-term option at that position. And you already traded away Jonnu Smith, so he's on the Steelers. So there's a lot of needs that this Miami offense has. The only position I'd say is kind of locked down on the offense is running back as far as playmakers, because Achane is just phenomenal, but he's even been in trade conversations recently. I don't think they will trade him, but the conversations have been there. So I think it's a really good look on Miami's defense for this hire. I think it's going to work out well on that side of the ball, but it remains to be seen how the offense will be handled and if it will be effective.
Like to butt in here and say, Tyreek Hill, I don't think he's gone. I just think he's gone.
Yeah, Tyreek is definitely on.
Achan being in trade conversations to me it does actually make sense given their timeline. Achan is a win now guy. You're not in win now situation. So if you can trade him away and get a really good package for him, I do think that makes a lot of sense. And for Tua, I have no idea because I think we'll have to wait until free agency to see what happens because he could be traded. I don't think he can get released yet. Isn't there a year until the cap is enough for him to get released? I do think we have to wait a while to see what some teams do at quarterback, specifically, mainly for me, the Jets, the Steelers, the Cardinals, what happens there at those teams. Personally, if I'm the Cardinals, I'd stay away from Tua. But
they'll probably draft Ty Simpson at 2, probably. They probably will.
I hope not. I hope not.
He's going round 1. It's just a matter of how high he's going, which is sad to say.
Is he really going round 1?
Multiple teams have told his father that he's going round 1. Multiple.
Okay.
Nobody's told him outside round 1. So if that's the case, then fuck.
And as far as Tua potentially getting cut, that's not going to happen. Just looked it up. He has a $99 million dead cap hit if he gets cut before June 1st. Not too much better post June 1st because it's still $67 million and then $31 million in 2027. So
they might just take it.
That's not an option for them.
If they're going to rebuild, they might just take it.
They could, but
I tried to trade him to a team that's desperate. The issue is who that team is going to be and if they will even need Tua by the time, say, day 2 in the draft or something like that. I'm just gonna say I think Tua's gonna stay. He's probably gonna be a starter by the start of next season. But yeah, offensively, those 3 things. Tyreek to me is gone. Achan getting moved makes a lot of sense, and Tua's probably going to be your starter next year, regardless of if you want to or not.
Yeah, I think Tua would be a halfway decent bridge quarterback just to get into next year, because next year's QB draft class is looking pretty solid. Now, we did say that about this year because we thought Lenore Sells was going to come out this year. We thought Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza, Garrett Nussmeier, Ty Simpson, Cade Klubnik, the Geopatcher.
Are we talking preseason or are we talking guys?
Now? Preseason. There's so many.
All these guys had potential.
Good.
That's true. Mendoza wasn't mentioned preseason, but we had all these other guys mentioned. Carson Beck, a lot of guys that like had kind of first round buzz without too much justification, but it's just this QB class has fallen off a cliff. Mendoza is the only guy now, and then like Ty Simpson in like the late first or early second or wherever he goes. So I think next year will be a much better draft class, and I think the Dolphins could definitely try to find their guy in that class.
Man, Trinidad Chambliss really should declare. I think he'd be quite easily QB2 in this class.
I mean, there's concern about him being small. He's like 5'11", and also arm isn't the greatest. And before we move on, I'm going to check something. I thought I saw some mock draft by CBS, and do not ever reference them for mock drafts, by the way. But I thought I saw for somebody mock Carson Beck ridiculously high. Let me check real quick.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about it. If it was going to be David Bailey, you better get used to that. David Bailey's going first.
Oh, no, he's not. Oh, no, David Bailey's not going round 1. You fucking kidding me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, he'll go. I think he can go top 50. Not top 50, top 75.
He will go round 1.
No, he will not. David Bailey's not going round 1. Respectfully, will not.
I'm not saying. I haven't watched enough of him, but from what I've seen from the media, he's going round 1.
Don't trust media in this case because it's fucking shit. Like, let me just look at a CBS mock draft, for example, and I can tell you who's not going round 1 and who will. Arvell Reese is going probably late round 1. Peter Woods is not going 3. Ruben Bain's not going to top 10. Maui Goa might go round 2 because he has pass pro issues. Keldrick Falk is day 2 guy. David Bailey, I would take him early day 3, and I might bump that up to a day 2, but who knows. Spencer Fino, he is going early day 3. Delane, that's fair. Any other egregious one? Ty Simpson shouldn't go round 1, but he probably will because the QB class is ass. Ione probably will go round 2 because he has run blocking issues for whatever the fuck. Sonny Styles is ridiculously low. He will be top 5 pick probably. Denzel Boston probably will not go round 1. Probably won't go day 2. CJ Allen, no. Kenyon Sadiq, way too low. Jordan Tyson, that's fair. TJ Parker is not going round 1. People got to stop saying shit about him because I swear to fucking God. Mekhi Lemon, decent player. I can see him going round 1, but he cannot handle anyone called Leonard Moore, who is a fucking freak and would probably be the number 1 corner of this year's class. So there's that. R. Mason Thomas, need to watch more of him. Pregnon, he's a day 2 guy. He's not round 1. KC should be higher. Lomu's day 2. Banks is just a pass rushing guy. And I've not heard of Julian Neal, so I need to hear about him. But thank fucking God they don't have Carson Beck. So I'll leave it at that. So for draft preview next week, we'll talk more about that. But yeah, that's your quick little draft preview.
Mock drafts in January are awful. I saw one recently saying, could Jeremiah Love go to the Ravens? I'm like, why? Doesn't even make sense.
Not with that guard room. Not with that guard room, the edges,
just
and you need wide receiver help.
Take Pregnon and take day 2. Take the Kentucky guy, Josh Braun, he's going to go day 2. Just take some day 2 fucking guards and you'll be fine. Just don't put Filele on the field, for fuck's sake. Please. I don't need to bring up the memes again for Fancy's torture. I hope I don't have to. But anyway, the final coaching thing we're going to talk about, specifically with coordinators, is Mike McDaniel being the coordinator for the Chargers. Now, I have 5 words for this. Thank God Greg Roman's gone, right? Anybody better than that man is a win, right? And so you have a good defense, right? Your offensive line, specifically your center, needs to get better. Bradley Bozeman is probably one of the worst centers in football starting, right? And that's saying a lot. You have stuff to work with. Just be prepared. Just don't make the players look confused as fuck on the field. Don't be Greg Roman. That should be your number 1 priority, and I think Mike McDaniel will do that.
This offense has pieces. As long as they don't die mid-season, they have the pieces to be a top 5 offense, especially under McDaniel's scheme. And I do think they're going to go out and get some more speed guys. Hell, this might be a Tyreek Hill destination. You bring in a quarterback with an arm like Herbert, and then you mix Hill's speed in. That could be dangerous.
I don't think Hill is going to be in the league next year.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Yes. Unless some team that can take on character wants to take him on, I don't see it.
I think he's too much of a talent to not be picked up by someone. I don't know.
From a character standpoint, yeah, but we all know how this works.
And he's coming off a torn ACL.
I mean, Antonio Brown still got signed by the Buccaneers.
I would expect him in Kansas City more than anything else.
Yeah, I just want to say this is a Hill destination, but this has the makings to be a top 5 offense. You have the pieces. Now you have the pieces everywhere. You have the running back. You have the quarterback. O-line, you have the guys. They just don't get hurt this time.
Draft day 2 cards, please. Draft more cards. Draft day 2 cards. Draft Enes Cooper in round 1 for fuck's sake. Please. Put him at center. Anybody better than Bradley Bozeman would be big for this team. Please.
Just do not die at offensive line. At receivers, you got guys who you're confident in now. Quentin Johnston looks so much better this season. And I feel so great that Quentin Johnston has looked good early in the season. Down the stretch, he's looked like the guy who you want. This looked like the guy coming out of TCU. Ladd McConkey, we all know. I have high expectations for Trey Harris and Keandre Lambert-Smith. You got your guys at tight end. I think you could add another tight end, especially a primary blocker alongside of Verondé Gatson. But offensively, this team has the piece to be a top 5, if not top 5, top 3 type of offense.
I think this hire is good as a survivor of the Greg Roman experiment in Baltimore. Thank you, Chargers, for getting rid of him. He ain't it. I don't have much to say that hasn't already been said. Mike McDaniel's probably the best coordinator hire in this coaching cycle. I think it's a really good hire by the Chargers. I'm excited to see what they do with him, how he schemes around Justin Herbert and builds around him, because he, I think, is in the same conversation as Lamar and Burrow, Mahomes, and I think he's up there with those guys and Allen. I just think he hasn't really had the right situation to prove it, and I'm hoping that Mike McDaniels can give him that situation.
Now we're on the conference championships. I think these two games are pretty easy to pick, but I can see, especially the Rams game, going 50-50, so we'll get to them last. I forgot to mention this earlier, but Jack's not on the show this week. He's going to some wedding shit, so congrats to whoever's getting married. I completely fucking forget. He's a Broncos fan, right? And I feel bad, obviously, that Bo Nix got injured. I mean, that's just fucking devastating, especially... I feel like it was more on the last play of the game and second last play of the game, to be honest, because I didn't notice anything on a second and last play. And I've watched some Jarrett Stidham tape, right? I watched his previous game against the Chargers in 2023. The quarterback he was facing in that game was Easton Stick. Now, I didn't watch the Easton Stick tape. I just watched Jarrett Stidham. And he doesn't have the greatest accuracy. I'll say that. He can't really do anything deep-wise. Like, he could do deep stuff like if the coverage busts, but you don't expect him to make those throws, right? And if I were the Patriots, unless Jarrett Stidham suddenly gets better, has suddenly gotten better in the last 2 years, I would just play everything underneath and just not let him do anything, because that's what he relies on most in his game, right? And obviously Denver's weapons have gotten better, right? Everything's better in Denver in the past 2 years, but I don't trust the skill talent for the Broncos to carry them in this game. It's going to probably be more of a carry job by Stidham if he wants any chance of winning this game. And I don't think he has... How do I say this? I don't think he is that big of a difference maker. In fact, I think he's more of a liability than anything else. So, to me, as a Patriots fan, I'm as sad as I am for Broncos fans that Bo Nix got injured. This is going to be a bye week for us, right? It will be a close game because of the Broncos defense. But if we lose this is on us. This is completely on us. Like, it's unacceptable if we lose to this. So, I have the Patriots win this game. I think Bo Nix getting injured just shattered everything. And personally, we'll talk about this in, I think, 2 weeks? Yeah, 2 weeks. I think Seattle's going to kick our ass in the Super Bowl, but that's a whole nother discussion. But Broncos fans, if you do somehow win, cherish this before you get your ass whooped by Seattle. So, either way, either of these teams are getting their ass whooped by Seattle, but... Denver fans, I'm sorry, because that shit's fucking rough.
Yeah, so last week I went on a rant about the Broncos and how inconsistent their offense is, and I completely counted them out against the Bills. But I have to admit, they did prove me wrong. They came out against Buffalo, they balled out, they took them to overtime and sealing the game in their first playoff win in a decade. Unfortunately, they did only get to celebrate for 10 minutes before learning that Bo Nix was out for the rest of the playoffs with a broken ankle, which sucks. And my theory on that, I think he got injured on the roughing the passer play. I think he broke his ankle then somehow. And then when he went to kneel, of course, you still bend your foot at the kneel down. And I think that's when it like popped out of place or something. I have no medical experience, so like don't take that with a grain of salt, but that's my theory. Before going back to the win itself, what makes it more impressive for me is that Bo Nix was their leading rusher with just 29 yards. And that does sound like a concern first, but the reason it impresses me is because the Bills have the 28th ranked run defense. And yet the Broncos completely torched their number one ranked passing offense. I don't know why that was their game plan. I don't understand it, but hey, it worked, and they did really well in the passing game against the league's best pass defense. So their offense was great. I don't have any qualms with their offense. I mean, yeah, they made my rant about consistency on offense look pretty stupid because you can't get much more consistent than that. And as far as the run game goes, J.K. Dobbins' practice window is open, and he's practiced for 2 days in a row now against a limited participant, or as a limited participant as of recording, but he's trending towards playing. So they'll probably have who has been their RB1 for this game. However, the Patriots are just such a good team. They're a very, very good team. Top 10 in both offense and defense. All three main marks. Passing yards, rushing yards, and points scored / points allowed. Top 3 in everything. They're a very good team. You have those like schedule concerns. You say they played an easy schedule, but they're in the AFC Championship. They've proved they belong to be here, and they just my brain says they're going to win. Absolutely. However, I just have something in my gut, and it's crazy, and I don't trust it. But for some reason, I feel like Jarrett Stidham can score 17 points, and the Broncos defense can do the rest. And I'm going to take the Broncos. As crazy as it is to say, my brain is screaming at me right now, but my gut tells me Broncos. I'm going to listen to it. I think their defense could pull out a masterclass and secure the win.
Hey, that is an apology for not even knowing Jack was a Broncos fan. Honestly, the Pats make more sense when you look at everything and you look at numbers and you take account to the quarterback. Bo Nix is going to be out. Drake May ain't. Now, one thing with May is that we saw what happens when a violent pass rush gets to him. It wasn't good. He had 3 fumbles, 2 lost. Or was it 4 fumbles, 2 lost?
Yes.
4 fumbles?
Yeah, I think it's 4 fumbles, 2 lost.
Yeah, 4 fumbles, 2 lost. He also was sacked 5 times.
So not only are you bringing in a top 10, probably top 5 defense, you have Nick Bonato, Jonathan Cooper, Zach Allen. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough day for that offensive line again. And defensively wise, you're not going against, let's see, third strings and cupcakes. You're going against a damn good offensive line from the Broncos. But number wise, the Pats are top 10 in damn near every major category. In points per game, they are 5th at 28.1. Yards, total yards per game, they are 6th with 372.5. Rushing yards, they are 6th. Passing yards, they are 4th. And on defense, it's just as good. They are top 5 points per game and points allowed in both categories. 5th on points per game for offense. Defensively, they are 3rd with 17.8 allowed. Total offensive yards, they are only 6th in the league at 287.7 allowed. Rushing yards, they are 5th. Passing yards allowed, they are 7th. So overall, this is a damn good team. If not, probably the second. This is the second best team overall in terms of the numbers, raw numbers. I agree with you. This defense for the Broncos, though, will cause major issues. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be enough to stop the Patriots. I'm going to have the Patriots win. Obviously, due to Bo Nix being out, I don't trust Jarrett Stidham against this defense, especially since they cannot run the ball. They are 19th, and the Broncos are 19th in rushing yards per game with Bo Nix. Without Bo Nix, it's going to be lower against this defense that only allowed 98.1, which is 5th in the league. Without a good enough quarterback, I don't think you're going to get away from this defense. Give me the Pats. It's unfortunate. I could see the impossible happening with Broncos winning, but it's unlikely if they can't run the ball.
Especially after the Texans game, right, where even though CJ Stroud played a horrendous game, right, the Patriots defense was still able to handle the Texans offense to 16 points, which is a miracle. I'm surprised we somehow fucking did that, right? Yes, CJ Stroud is ass, and we'll probably talk about that in the offseason. The fact that you were able to hold off 16 points on, 15 possessions, that's incredible. So that gives me more confidence in this defense, even more, even though we're not elite. And even though Will Campbell may be complete dumpster fire right now, I will fucking take it. So, yeah, just please don't fucking blow this, Patriots. Please. Next on the docket, and the final game of the weekend, Rams and Seahawks. Now, we've seen this in the regular season, right? We've seen this 2 times already, right? The last time these two faced each other, it went to overtime. Seahawks ended up pulling it out, right? And then you saw in week 11, the Rams were able to win by 2, right? So I do think this is going to be a close game just because of how these two teams match up. What I will say is that Seattle is going to be fucking loud. That might be the loudest that place has ever been, right? And so as long as Sam Darnold is healthy and as long as the Rams let me rephrase this. As long as the Rams show up, this is going to be a close game. So I hope this is entertaining football. I hope it is not the 49ers game because I'll show a clip of one of the first plays in the 49ers game, and that summarizes that entire fucking game. That game was fucking miserable to watch, specifically on the 49ers side because they had no business being there. So I do think Seattle is just going to be the environment is going to be extremely, extremely fucking tough. I do have concerns with the Rams, considering the fact that they did play close against a Bears defense that isn't that good, and against the Panthers, which, to be fair, the Panthers are a good team. Not discrediting them, but top line wise, they haven't done anything yet, right? And so I can see this game going either way. But to me, I think the Seahawks just have too many advantages in this game. And I think they're probably going to kick the AFC champions' ass in the Super Bowl. So give me the Seahawks.
So this matchup has felt destined to happen since around week 6. Now, I will say that the Chiefs and Colts in the postseason did also feel like a destined matchup. And that came nowhere close. But this matchup in particular has felt like a matchup of destiny. We have two of the most exciting teams in the NFL, maybe the two most exciting teams in the NFL. Even if you count all 32 teams, even if you count the teams that have been eliminated already. I think these two teams are just both so fun to watch. And it's a phenomenal matchup. It's already brought us two of the more fun games of the season this year, with the second game where the Seahawks came back in the fourth quarter being my pick for the game of the year. However, I worry about the Rams on this one. They haven't played their best football recently. They've failed to exploit their opponent's weaknesses. In Week 16, they let the Seahawks come back from a fourth quarter deficit to win in overtime. In Week 17, they let Bijan Robinson run for nearly 200 yards against them. In the divisional round, they only sacked Bryce Young twice against a beat-up Panthers O-line. Overall, they haven't played their best football. In the last 6 games against teams that are not the Arizona Cardinals, who suck and are an outlier, they have a +6 scoring differential, which means they are averaging just one more point than their opponent per game. Meanwhile, the Seahawks, under the same criteria, have a +93 scoring differential over the last 6 opponents. And I had to double check that because that is such a vast difference between the two teams. And that is including, for the Seahawks, a narrow 2-point win against the Colts and an even narrower 1-point win against the Rams. So I see two outcomes to this game. Either the Rams win by 3 or the Seahawks win by 14. And I'm leaning towards the latter, just because I think this Seahawks team has played their best football in the past few weeks, whereas the Rams played their best football in like weeks 10 through 13. So I'm going to pick the team that's hotter. I'm going to pick the team that has not been stagnant in the later half of the season. I'm going to pick the Seahawks here.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Seahawks. And man, Rams defense is the worst unit in the playoffs by quite a lot. These numbers are pretty rough. Offensive points per game, 20.7, which is 10th. Not that bad. But then you get to total your offense allowed, 332.5. That is 17th in the league. Rushing yards allowed, 111.9. So 112 rushing yards, 11th in the league. And then the pass defense is abysmal. 220 yards per game. 220 passing yards allowed per game. That is 21st in the league. And you're going against the 7th best total offense, the 2nd best scoring offense behind yourself. You're going against the 7th best rushing offense. Now, the one thing number-wise in terms of the matchups that help the Rams is that the Seahawks are only 13th in the league in passing yards per game at 221. But recently, I don't think that's going to matter. I think Darnold's going to ball out. If you want to win this game, if you're the Rams, you got to put up points. You can't be lagging. You have to put up points. You're going to have to put up a lot of them. If you want to win this game, I think you're going to have to score 38, maybe 40. Would you all say that'd probably be the number you'd have to be going for if you want to win this game?
Unless they pull a 49ers, then yes.
Yeah. But the issue with that is that you're going against the best defense in the playoffs. Number 1 in points allowed at 16.6. Number 3 in total offense allowed at 282.8. Number 2 in rushing yards per allowed at 92. And then 8th in passing yards allowed at 190. Whereas you're first in points per game allowed, or first in total yards per game, you're first in passing yards per game. The weakness of the offense, though, is the run game. So Matthew Stafford is going to have another one of his all-time games if he wants to win this. And so, issue is, I don't think he's going to do that. I have Seahawks heading to the Super Bowl, but I do think it will be a good game. I do think it's going to be close, but late in the game, I see the Seahawks getting stops in which Rams will not be able to get stops on defense.
All right, so that is all for this week. I know not an exciting outro. Nothing fancy was planned or anything like that. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. We really do appreciate it. Hopefully next week we can talk about why teams lost in the conference championship game. For your guys' sake, maybe hopefully why the Patriots blew it. And maybe somehow how the Seahawks blew it. So thank you guys so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week. Peace. Okay, so I apologize. I just realized I was recording myself and I didn't have you guys on camera, so that's on me. So we can either redo this or I can just do a quick recap and the intro. God damn it. I know this is going as the outro, but fuck. Your choice.